How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We are back with another FPL video here in the off season, and today we're going to be checking out which players I think are going to be changing positions going into the 2020-2021 FPL season. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I thought I'd do a little bit more of a freestylish sort of video here and kind of just go a bit more chill, a bit more relaxed, a bit more personal, as it were. And we'll just kind of go through things and kind of go through my thought process in terms of the players that I think that could be potentially changing positions this season. So FPL does actually have like a help section, as it were, on their site, and this is what I found in terms of where players should be categorized. So it says the players that have been positioned in the game are based on the following definitions. So for goalkeeper, the player who is in goal and permitted to use their hands inside the penalty area. It is worth noting that an outfield player takes over goalkeeping responsibility due to no substitute of being a goalkeeper available. He will be able to collect points for saves, but will score points as if they were their position classification. So if he gets a goal, then I guess he gets a midfielder goal. If he keeps a clean sheet, and he gets 1 point for the clean sheet rather than the 4 that a defender or goalkeeper would get. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know about the saves thing, but that makes sense to me. Defender, lining up in front of the goalkeeper for players charged with defending their goal. Central defenders will often be dominant figures, amassing clearances, blocks, and interceptions. Fullbacks and wingbacks will often record more tackles while contributing in the attack, providing crosses and creating chances for their teammates. Self-explanatory, so central defenders being Harry Maguire, Aymeric Laporte, fullbacks being the likes of Kyle Walker or Ben Davies, players like that, and wingbacks would be Marcus Alonso or Matt Doherty for Wolves. So that makes sense so far. Midfielder, a player positioned in front of the defense who either plays centrally or in a wide position. Now that's key here. They are charged with breaking up opponents' attacks and providing passes and crosses to create chances for their own team. Okay? This position also includes attacking midfielders who play in behind the forward line as a number 10. So think Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne when they play their 4-2-3-1 system at Man City. Christian Eriksen when he played for Spurs, Dele Alli when he plays for Spurs. I'm just trying to think of any others. Mason Mount, depending on the formation for Chelsea this season. You kind of get the gist of it. This position also includes attacking midfielders number 10, okay, or as wide players and wingers that are therefore includes players on the left and right of a central striker in a 4-3-3 formation. Their role is to provide goals either by creating chances or converting opportunities themselves. So FPL here has defined as a midfielder someone who either plays in front of the back four as like a CDM, so like a Fernandinho or sometimes like Fred or McTominay plays for United, or like a Ndobele would for Spurs. Or when Dyer was playing there for Spurs. I'm trying to think of a better. Ruben Neves is probably a good example for Wolves, plays CDM. Then they're talking about the number of different midfielders. So talking about center midfielders when they're talking about they're charged with breaking up opponents' attacks and providing passes to create chances for their own team. So they're talking about 6s and 8s. So what basically in a 4-3-3 system is basically a V-shaped formation. At the bottom of the V you have the CDM, and then obviously in the left and right channels looking for half spaces you have the 2 number 8s. So think of Man City's 4-3-3. David Silva on the left, De Bruyne on the right, and Fernandinho at the base. They're also talking about number 10. So when you line up in a 4-2-3-1, you have a double pivot with 2 number 6s effectively. So like when United play with Paul Pogba and Matic, they act as deep line playmakers or number 6s, with Matic typically doing more of the screening and Pogba doing more of the progressive long passes. And then they have a number 10, which is the guy who plays in between the 2 wide men and just behind the striker. That's the number 10, kind of like the assister of most involvements, and is typically most involved. Similarly, how James Maddison kind of augments himself into that, even though Brendan Rodgers plays a 4-3-3 typically when he's in the side. And then last but not least, or as wide players, as wingers, and therefore includes players on the left and right of a central striker in a 4-3-3 formation, which means that if you are lining up as basically the left winger or the right winger, you are classified as a midfielder. So that could change some various different roles for certain players. But we'll move on. Let's check out the forward description here. The forward, or also known as the striker, is deployed ahead of the midfield and in a central area rather than out wide. Fair enough. They either operate as a lone striker or as part of a front pairing, so a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. So Burnley would be a good example of a team who plays two strikers, typically with Chris Wood and Barnes as well. They've been playing recently with Rodriguez and Wood as a front two. Manchester United, it would be Anthony Martial. For Liverpool, it would be typically Roberto Firmino as he lines up in the central role, even though he plays as a number 10 because of his false 9 attributes. Basically, he kind of drops deeper, but that's just his play style. Chelsea this season would be the likes of Tammy Abraham and Olivier Giroud. Also Jesus for City as well. Just trying to think of other different positions that are other different players that are basically playing different systems. Raul Jimenez, obviously, for Wolves would make sense, and he typically doesn't drift out left or out wide. He's straight down the middle. So that would, signifies as a striker. And it says their primary role is to score goals rather than create chances. Makes sense. And this is reflected in the BPS, or bonus points system, with forwards rewarding significantly more for goals scored. So that's why goals scored by forwards give you 4 points, midfielders give you 5, and defenders give you 6. However, in the BPS, scoring a forward gets significantly more BPS than a midfielder or a defender for scoring a goal, so they're more likely to get bonus when only scoring 1 goal, whereas midfielders typically have to get a bit more. Because goalkeepers are supposed to make saves and keep a clean sheet, defenders are supposed to keep clean sheets first, right, and then potentially help out with attacks when they can. Midfielders is more assisting and goals when they can, and forwards is goals and assists when they can. So that's kind of like the priority system. And then they have, a bunch of different things here where it's talking about how BPS is calculated, when are bonus points added, that sort of stuff. And there's a big breakdown here. And it talks about why they changed at the end of the match and all that sort of stuff. But that's the main thing that we're interested in. This line right here, this position also includes attacking midfielders who cannot play behind the forward line as a number 10, or can play behind as a number 10. But the more important one is wide players and wingers, therefore includes players on the left and right of a central striker in a 4-3-3 formation, which is what most formations people play nowadays. So, with that being said, I have a list of players on the right. We'll get into the like the kind of the left and right, situation, soon enough. But the first player, unfortunately, that we're gonna have to say goodbye to in defense is John Lundstrom. He was positioned as a defender as 4 million. He looked excellent in the beginning of the season. I mean, look at some of these scores: 14, 12, 21, 11, 12. That's what, 5 double-digit figures? And Sheffield United's clean sheets. 144 points from somebody who didn't play all the time and was 4 million at the start of the season. So, not much more you can ask for. But unfortunately, our Lord and Savior, Lord Lundstrom, as he was deemed, denoted by the Scoutcast, he's going to be a midfielder next season. He'll probably be around 5 million or something. He'll probably be whatever flex price is. Which is, they'll probably be around 5 million or something like that next season, which is unfortunate. But yeah, for whoever positioned him in the defensive slot, I have no clue what they were doing. But sometimes they give us those little gems that we can hang on to. The next one that we have is Matt Ritchie. He lined up as a defender, but this season has been playing mostly as a wider midfielder. When he has played, obviously missed a significant portion of the season from 4 to 22. In those game weeks, and then he's typically, like I said, he's lining up more as a midfielder. So, and it's all based on when they go to change a position. Typically, it's what you play in the latter half of the season, for the most part, and where your most common like heat maps are basically are. So he'll probably go back to a midfield position, but that's not where the spicy stuff comes in. These next few is where we're going to be looking at some kind of interesting things. So first one is Antonio. So Antonio was played basically as a striker from gaming 25 onwards, and that's the majority of the time that he's played, because again it depends on how many games they played as well. He was playing as a out and out striker by himself in a 4-2-3-1 system where they had Noble and Rice kind of in a double pivot with potential wingers trying to help Antonio, but typically playing back a lot more because they were typically on the back foot and had to basically counter with just Antonio. And oftentimes you saw that. The ball was lumped forward to Antonio, and you just hoped that he made something out of it. And when he scored his 4 goals, he was playing as a forward. So he would definitely be a forward. Next, we have Jota from Wolves. Now, this season when he has played, he's played as kind of the left inside forward in a 3-4-3 or a 3-5. I mean, when he was playing a 3-5-2, he didn't really play as like a secondary striker, but most times Wolves play a 3-4-3, and Jota's kind of out on the left, and they have Traore out on the right because that's where Traore's been playing on the right, and Jota's on the left or Neto's on the left. And I think he's probably going to go back to being a midfielder. He was transformed to a forward this season, so I think he's going to go back to being a midfielder again, unless Wolves start playing with 2 up front again for next season, in which case he'll get reverted back. But that's kind of the decision that I think they'll make for him. Moving on to another one that's going to be changing from midfield to forward, and that is Richarlison. Basically played just as how the guidelines said in a 4-4-2 system or a 4-2-3-1 or 3-5-2 system. Richarlison played mostly in a 4-4-2, especially when Ancelotti came in, and played as a striker alongside Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Moise Kean, as we saw in the last game week. So I think he'll definitely go to a forward, which kind of sucks because Richarlison was a pretty good asset overall. 165 points isn't bad. That's going to go down a lot less than than what it was this season because he'll be getting less points. He typically for bonus points, Richarlison was decent when it came to it, getting a total of 13 bonus points across season, which is like 1 in every 3. Which isn't bad, but typically when he does go off, he does get 3 bonus points. So here he got 15, 3 bonus points, 10, 3 bonus points. Scored, got at least 1 bonus point. But those might be, like those points may kind of equal out actually because of the way the bonus point system works. So, but again, we'll have to see kind of how his price is, because if it's 8 million, then it's probably fine. He'll be competing with the likes of Danny Ings and that lot. But Everton was a lot less consistent, so you kind of have to think that Danny Ings and Raul Jimenez are going to be a little bit better assets going forward. Now, into the ones that everyone's probably really interested in, which is the Man United assets. So first, I'm just going to get rid of that, and we're going to go straight to Man United here. So, in terms of the midfielders, Bruno Fernandes is probably going to be a lot more expensive. We already kind of touched on that. But Anthony Martial has played every game as a number 9. Yes, they have made some substitutions where he's going out to the left-hand side. But when he has started, he has been the number 9. And he's been scoring goals directly through the middle. Especially after lockdown was lifted. So he will be a forward next season. This is a guarantee, and I think that the person that will swap with him will be Marcus Rashford, who's been lining up as a left winger in the 4-2-3-1 system that Ole has implemented. So Rashford will be the midfielder, and Martial will be the forward. So it's just a roles reverse here. And I think that's perfectly fine. They may be priced at the same prices, which would be interesting. Maybe Martial will be slightly cheaper, so Rashford will be 9.5 and Martial will be 9. I'm not too sure about that, but we'll have to see. I think around that price will probably be fair for both of them. And then the other key one was Mason Greenwood. Where is he going to? He's a forward currently, and he's obviously way less expensive than what he was. Now, if Sancho comes in for Manchester United, that could change some things a bit. But he was set up as a forward this season. But when he has come on and played, he is typically, especially after lockdown, has played on the right-hand side in the 4-2-3-1 system. And I think that he could see a midfield change as well, which would be very interesting, and it'd be interesting to see what his price could be. If he comes in at around 6 million, he could be quite interesting. Obviously, Sancho would have that position locked down. If he is, you don't pay 120 million euros or whatever the price is supposed to be for him going into a season and not start him. So I think that Greenwood could be an interesting bench option for that. And we could see some systems where he just starts with Martial up front. We play 2 in midfield instead, so that could be quite interesting there. But that Mason Greenwood could see a price increase for sure, and he could also see a position change to midfield. And then lastly on our list is a very interesting one, which could be quite interesting just in general for just how FPL kind of placing, and that's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, when Lacazette is played, or Nketiah has been playing, and especially after restart, Aubameyang has lined up in a 4-3-3 system. Just clicked off that for a second. In a 4-3-3 system, or 4-2-3-1 system, where he's lined out on the left. Now, by the definitions, he's on the left of a 4-2-3-1, or he's out on the left of a 4-3-3, which would classify him as a midfielder. Now, that would be insane because we could see pairings with him and Kane, whereas last season they'd be both forward slots, and it just adds more expensive midfielders to the overall just kind of package that we have right now. You're going to have Kevin De Bruyne going up in price, who was injured for the 2018-2019 season. He's going to be expensive. And he came in at 9.5 this season because he was injured, and he obviously did really well, so he's going to go up in price. You have Bruno Fernandes, another midfielder. Aubameyang could be going to the midfield. You have Mohamed Salah, you have Riyad Mahrez, you have Sadio Mane, you have all these crazy midfielders, and not enough money to get them all in. So people are going to have to start making decisions. And I could definitely see Aubameyang going to the midfield role because of the definition of how he played for the majority of his games. And I think the stats showed that out of the, I think it was like 36 games that he played. Yeah, he missed 2 here. 20 of those games, which is the majority of them, or over the majority of them, he played lined up on the team sheet as a left-sided forward, which would be a left winger or a left attacking midfielder in a 4-2-3-1, or a left winger in a 4-3-3, as we mentioned. So I definitely think that he could be quite interesting. As to what his price will be, I don't know. Maybe they increase his price slightly because he is a midfielder. I'm not too sure about that. I can see him being 11.5 million, maybe even 12, because of the amount of goals that he did score from that side of the pitch. And he actually does play better. The stats do show that, because he's able to kind of drift in behind, and kind of the hypothetical and ideal scenario for Aubameyang would be exactly how he played versus City. He's out on the left touch line, gets him behind, one-on-one with Ederson, bang, in the goal. That's typically what Aubameyang does when he gets in front of goal. But yeah, those are the interesting position changes that I can see happening. Let me know what you guys think on that front. And yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. If there's any players that I may have missed, or could be some interesting ones, let me know down in the comments below. Also, make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. And make sure to turn those notification bells on so that you can get the videos as soon as they are readily available. Also, make sure to give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. You can see it's PilotFlame226 below me. Links are also in the description below. I'll also leave a pinned tweet as to our Twitch as well, because I'm going to be doing some gaming streams over there, whether it be poker or Detroit Become Human. I'm trying to solve some audio issues, but hopefully we can get something going tonight as well. Just keep a lookout for that over on Twitter. That's why it's important to follow, so that you can get our content as soon as it is readily available, as we post it over there, as well as when we do our Twitch streams. But thanks for watching, and hope you all enjoyed the video. The next video will be on player predictions, so that's going to be the likes of Timo Werner, Jadon Sancho, Nathan Ake, even, because he's swapping teams now. We're going to see what type of potential prices I think that they might come in at, based on the model that we have currently in the 2020 season. So that's going to do it. Hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next one, take care.